Hi, I'm Russell, winemaker at Winters Hill Estate. I'm here today with Regine Rousseau of Shall We Wine. We're going to talk about our 2018 Pinot Gris Reserve, also what's happening in the vineyard this time of the year. So good to see you, Regine. How's it going?
Good to see you. It's always great to see you. I'm a little jealous though, because I wish I was there with you instead of my apartment in Chicago. One thing, I'm a little nervous. I see these barrels behind you. Are they secure?
They are secure. They're stacked on racks. They've been there for many months, so not to worry.
Okay, well then cheers to you, Russell. Good to see you.
Cheers.
So 2018 Pinot Gris, super excited to talk about it because as you know, I'm a big fan of Pinot Gris. A lot of the consumers that I work with, some of my clients that I teach are not familiar with Pinot Gris, and they don't even know that Pinot Gris and Pinot Grigio are actually the same grape, right?
They are the same grape. It's just the Italian pronunciation or the French, but it's a grape that can be made in a lot of different styles. With our vineyard location, we can get the fruit a little bit riper, which gives us more flavor and more richness. Then we take it and we ferment it in oak barrels. We give it time to kind of absorb a little more flavor from the skins.
There's so much going on in the bottle, you know, and it's just delicious. So let's get into it. Let's get into this bottle and let's talk a little bit about the nose, which is like super pretty. Wow, like for me, this smells like a fresh, like a spring morning. There's this floral component. There's like really like fresh air in the spring. That's a lot of what I'm getting on the nose. Mm-hmm. So pretty. So pretty. How about you?
That's actually something that's going on in the vineyards right now is the grapes have just finished blooming. And so when you go outside, it's more in the evening than in the morning, but you get this beautiful perfume that just kind of wafts through the air.
You know, I could probably save some money. Instead of buying perfumes, I could just start dabbing a little bit of wine on. Too much? Do you think that? So, but what is it about the Dundee Hills? What is it about where you are that creates this style of Pinot Gris?
Well, our vineyards face to the south and to the west. So so most of our breeze in the evening and the afternoon comes from the west. So we're exposed to those cooling breezes. And that really makes a big difference to all of our wines in terms of allowing us to get very ripe without losing the acidity.
And one of the things that I love that you said is that you're so focused on the terroir, right? You're so focused on this is the region, this is the climate, and this is why we get the type of fruit that we get. And you're not taking any of the credit, right?
Mother Nature is a lot more powerful than I am.
What?
We just.
Okay, Russ, but tell us like what kind of voodoo that you do that makes this wine so special?
Well, one of the things we do has to do with the barrels that are behind me. So we ferment this wine in barrel and then age it in barrel. One of the things that happens in a barrel is a little bit of oxygen can get in through the wood into the wine. Just a tiny amount helps the wine get richer and fuller. And so that allows us to layer on additional flavors onto the wine. It also makes the wine that much better for pairing with foods.
Which is my favorite topic. But before we get to food and taste though, I love that you mentioned that how you use the barrels, because this is not an oaky wine, but there is some grip to it, right? There is a little bit of like texture to this wine and definitely body. So
that is what we're after, is more the texture of the wine rather than an oak flavor. What we want is a wine that you can really enjoy, but there's no one component that's like waving its hand in the air and saying, hey, look at me. We want it to be, we want it to all be integrated together.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so let's talk about the taste. I mean, so we talked about the mouthfeel, we talked about the texture. This is just beautiful and fresh and like weighty. And there's this like, beautiful like pear component to this wine. And I mean, it's just lovely. Like, what are some of the flavors that you get out of it?
So to me, the flavors, the primary fruit flavor that I get from this wine is pear. Uh, it also has some nice spice characters, some kind of cloves or maybe an allspice kind of baking spice character to it.
Oh, wait a minute. Your wife is French. A tarte, comment dire, a tarte à poivre. Yes.
Exactly.
That would be perfect. Yes. Everything that you said, obviously, I agree with. And I think, one thing that we didn't talk about is a little bit of salinity in this wine, right? There's a little like beautiful saltiness at the end. And that really makes it to me clever and interesting and really lends to some great food and wine pairing. So what's your favorite thing to have with a 2018 Pinot Gris? And I'll tell you mine in a second.
So one of my favorite pairings with this wine is smoked salmon. We talked about how the wine has a little saltiness and savoriness. So does the smoked salmon. And so those two sets of flavors can really go back and forth. The richness of the salmon and the acidity of the wine also make for great balance. So that's one of my favorites. What are you thinking about?
Okay, I love that. And when you mentioned smoked salmon, one of the things I thought about, I'm from Haiti and we eat a lot of cod fish. So I'm always looking for wines that will pair with my mom's cooking. I'm not doing any Haitian cooking at home, but I think this would be really interesting with cod. But here's where I want to go. Okay, close your eyes, imagine with me. I love sandwiches, okay? And I love to build sandwiches. So I'm thinking grilled bread. Next layer, I'm thinking pears, right? To bring out that pear flavor. Then the next layer, brie. And then to pair with the saltiness, some prosciutto. I want a little bit of bitter greens on there, maybe some arugula. Tell me that's not the perfect sandwich and the perfect pairing for the 2018 Pinot Gris. Am I right?
That sounds delicious.
The other thing is, I think this wine is great as a starter. We always serve or we start with sparkling wines, which I love, and you have a beautiful sparkling wine. But I think that if you didn't want to do sparkling, this would be a great wine to get the appetite wet, greet your guests with if you're doing a starter wine. And, I have a category of wine that you probably have never heard of. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Breakfast wines. A nice omelet, with your smoked salmon omelet. The Pinot Gris would be awesome with that. Okay, so like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you're good. Nothing wrong with breakfast wine. Wine at 8 o'clock in the morning, it's all good.
Absolutely, I'm with you.
Yes. So, okay. I'm curious. I'm here in Chicago, and I can't wait to get to Oregon in a couple of months. What's happening in the vineyard? I'm super curious about what you're doing right now and how you're keeping busy.
Well, this is really the busiest time of the year in the vineyard. The grapes are growing fast. Bud break was a couple months ago, and so now those shoots are getting longer. They don't naturally tuck themselves into the trellis, so there's a lot of human hands that are tucking them into the trellis and making them grow upright. They often send out too many shoots, and so we need to thin out some of those shoots. That's again done by hand, pulling off the extra shoots. So it takes a lot of human effort and a lot of time and a lot of skill to do that. Of course, the other thing we're doing, just like any gardener, is this is the time of the year that the weeds grow fast, and so we're doing cultivation, tilling the soil a bit in between the rows. And we do have a special tool that cultivates underneath the vines.
I love that you gave us this glimpse into what's happening in the vineyard.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of human hands and a lot of skill and experience. You know, we're enjoying a 2018 wine. You know, we started tending those vines back in January of 2018, and you know, we're just really enjoying it today. Our viticulture is really not very mechanized at all. It really is done by hand. And then in the winery itself, you know, we're also working by hand. You know, we're moving wine out of these barrels, one barrel at a time. It takes a lot of TLC to make wine the way we do. It's gratifying for me that, you know, when people enjoy a bottle, it's on their table, it says Winter's Hill. They know that we produce that, and so that gives us a lot of pride.
We're showing a 2018. You and I obviously have had the opportunity to taste some older white wines, right? Some older Pinot Gris and Pinot Grigios. And it's amazing how in the right hands, right producer, how these bottles can age. So I don't hold on to my Winter's Hill that long. I get my shipment, I drank my shipment. But if I wanted to hold on to this 2018, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this wine will continue to improve and develop for another 4 or 5 years, I think, quite easily. So if you put a bottle down on the bottom shelf out of sight, so you forget about it, and you come back to it in 2025, I think you'll enjoy it.
Okay, the forget about it part is hard, but I think I will try that. I'll wake up in the middle of the night like, are you okay? Are you okay? You know, Gris, are you okay? I'll check up on her. I think I'm going to call her because I feel like, you know, I connect, like, you know, so that's awesome. Well, Russ, this wine is beautiful. As usual, I love our conversations and I can't wait for us to get together in person.
Sounds great. Well, it's great talking to you.
Same here. Cheers.
Cheers.